What's up, Cinephiles? Netflix just released a new action superhero movie. It's called Project Power and it's directed by Joost and Ariel Schulman. Before we start on our review, if this is your first time on the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for weekly reviews on movies, TVs, and video games. And while you're at it, please give us a like and comment down below your thoughts, because it helps the channel. Phil, what is this movie all about?
Kevin, Project Power is set in New Orleans and stars Jamie Foxx as an ex-soldier named Art, Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a police named Frank, and Dominique Fishback as Robin, a teenager who is a pusher for this new dangerous drug that gives someone temporary superpowers. Now the three of them team up to find the source of this mysterious experimental drug. Now, Kevin, what can you say about this film?
Obviously, it's derivative. If you've seen movies like X-Men, Fantastic Four, you're not a stranger to these superpowered human beings. Though in this case, this only lasts for 5 minutes. It's like a Chinese zodiac where you get a different power assigned to you, or when you're unfortunate, you're going to explode. Also, looking at the crime thriller aspect, I guess that's also a subject of many action films. There's the shadowy drug cartel, and then there's the government conspiracy, and even the act of taking a pill and enhancing your abilities is not also new. There's a movie, Limitless, which stars Bradley Cooper. While that one is focused on enhancing your cognitive abilities, this one is focused on evolving your physical abilities. But you know, I didn't mind that this has a derivative premise into it. There are some action films where it's also derivative, but you know, you can find an audience that can appreciate your work. Looking at these elements, it's actually a good start for a movie. The characters are well fleshed. They're all morally ambiguous. There's the character of Jamie Foxx. He seems to be this veteran who has his personal agenda, so he will stop at nothing to get what he desires. We later on find that this is not about the drug. He really has this ulterior motive, which seems to be noble. And then there's a cop played by Joseph Gordon. I would say that he has this unconventional police methods where he needs to have this drug to catch the bad guy. So that in itself is an interesting take of a morally ambiguous character. Then there's a kid who works as a pusher who justifies her work just as a means to get through her needs as a student. I think that the movie has a strong potential, which I felt like the movie didn't really exhaust to its full potential. This is a war on drugs. I felt like there are more themes that could be explored here about the duality of the characters. Kind of felt short for me, the relevance, because as a viewer, especially nowadays, that's an important factor of what elevates your entertainment. But honestly, for a standard Netflix action flick, this is already very watchable. There are a lot of good fight scenes and the visual effects are actually cool.
I was entertained for a bit by this film. You mentioned that you were looking for them to explore more of the themes. I was actually looking for something else. I'm not necessarily looking for them to explore themes, but this movie on paper should have been incredibly awesome. Like what you said, in Limitless, it really only enhances your cognitive mind, just really makes you really smart. Here, you get temporary superpowers. That's a really great concept, but when they put this into film, it just fell really flat for me. I mean, there are some action sequences here that are, well, okay to watch, but imagine the possibilities if this material was given to someone who would have made this much cooler. I guess the presentation, the style of this film is not necessarily cool enough. I'm just really hung up about the potential of this movie that it really failed to realize, because if you think about it, it's a unique concept put into a very generic plot. There's that bad corporate people who are in it for the money or the power. There's this guy who wants to save someone. There's this guy who's just a cop that really wants to protect his city. It's just generic action stuff that I didn't want to get from this movie, because what I want from this concept alone is awesome action sequences or probably even unique stunts. And it also doesn't help that the temporary powers given by the pills, the rules are not really explained. They said that it's based off on animals maybe, but some of the powers that manifest when someone drinks it that's not something you get from animals. No animals are like that, because some of them are just downright OP, some of them are just downright monstrous. It's not something that animals do. This was quite a bummer for me. It's just a standard movie, that something you watch if you don't have anything better to do.
To the concept of that pill, we don't have any degrees on biochemistry, but I have to agree on what you said, that some of these powers that they're exhibiting, they don't really fully sell that idea to me. I would like them to explore much on that pill. As we found out, only one set of powers is applicable to one person. So I think it will be more creative if one pill gives you this power, another one gives you that power. I think it will create more complexity to the plot. Just to give credit on this movie, because it ultimately ended up being a serviceable action film.
Yeah.
We can all agree on that. But what I like and what really stood out for me is the relationship that's forged by our character here, Robin. It's only natural for her to gravitate towards the father figure he found on Art, played by Jamie Foxx. I think it's cool that they get to share a scene where Art says about something that if rapping is your power, own it. We got some freestyle rapping in there, which seems really cool and further adds color to their characters, and also the relationship of Robin to Frank, how they tease each other in doing this Clint Eastwood voice. The film gets it right in making these characters likable. Joseph Gordon, he adds layer to this character. This is the type of character that I think Mark Wahlberg will play in his usual cop movies. I've seen him before in action movies like Premium Rush. He has the physicality to sell. Then also for Jamie Foxx, I think it's been a while since I've seen him on screen, and he still got it. He has this cool brewing intensity inside. And the revelation here is Dominique Fishback. I really enjoyed her snaps and her clapbacks. I wish that those characters have a better material to work with. When it comes to the villains, I didn't mind that we don't have a core villain here.
Yeah.
We have this many different villains from the high to the low level ranks. I guess it just picks how this contraband affects people in many ways, as a source of income, as a source of strength. So each one has their own addiction tied up to that drug. I'm not going to say that the direction is uninspired. I think there's still style on the film, and they're not really holding back when it comes to the R18 elements, which seems really suited for this movie.
Well, there were some grotesque scenes, but I'll maybe explain it off cam, but I felt they were holding a bit back for me. For an R18 film, this isn't like a Deadpool kind of movie that's going to show gore in your face in a stylish way. It's not that. But I think the last movie that I've watched Jamie Foxx in is in Baby Driver, and he essentially plays the same character for a little bit. He's still great. The cast is still great. I agree. Joseph Gordon-Levitt portrayed this character and added some layers to it. Dominique Fishback was also good. I also hope that they had a better material to work with overall. And I love what you mentioned, that this is ultimately a serviceable film, because that's what I felt like. This doesn't really stand out. I don't think that I'm going to watch this film again. You know me, I love action films, I love superpower stuff, and on paper I expected so much more from this movie. It's a really great idea, but the execution, the material that this film ended up with didn't really work for me. So I'm going to give this movie 3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I have to agree on what you said. It takes more than a neat premise to sell the whole movie, and apart from nailing it on the character dynamics, they did well on that. But how do you evolve the themes? Because I think there's also unbaked themes on racial discrimination here, which I think they could have connected better to the whole overarching plot. It's not about being derivative, because these days everything's been done really. But how do you elevate that into a theme that will make it more groundbreaking? I enjoyed this a little bit more than you do, so I'm gonna give this one a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, and that's it for our review of Project Power. If you like this video, hit that like button down below and subscribe to our channel.
Also guys, tell us what you think in the comments section down below. Till then guys, see you on the next one.
Bye bye.